Hello, it's Who Time, and we're back again for another instalment about the Doctor Who B&M figure range, much sooner than I expected. Good job I got that video out last week with the leaked images. So, without further ado, let's run through the newly announced Wave 2 for 2022. Let's go! First up, we have the 9th Doctor set, which includes a hologram 9th Doctor, a Rose figure, and then another 9th Doctor figure. Based on the previous wave with the 8th and 10th Doctor sets, I was thinking we're going to get 3 9th Doctors in different coloured jumpers, but thank goodness we haven't. Looking at the hologram 9th Doctor, this is a look from the Series 1 finale Bad Wolf and the Parting of the Ways. And it's a new figure release that we haven't had before. We've had a 10th Doctor hologram figure, and there was a prototype hologram 9th Doctor figure made using the original old disco dancing sculpt that never got a release, so this is a nice new addition to the shelf. It does of course reuse the second more accurate version of the 9th Doctor, but is moulded in clear plastic. Next to him in the pack we have Rose with her look from the first episode, Rose partially, and also from the End of the World, the second episode. It's not super accurate as it's just a straightforward re-release and repaint of the old disco dancing Rose that we originally got back in 2005. I was hoping this set was a nice opportunity for character to release the properly articulated prototype of Rose that they made years ago, but I guess it was too costly. Lastly, we have another 9th Doctor figure with a look inspired by the comics, I believe. He never wore blue trousers in the show, so I have to assume it's inspired by this comic artwork that you can see on screen. Interestingly, this isn't just a re-release of the second iteration of the 9th Doctor figure, with simply just a blue jumper and trousers. If you look closely, you can see both the head and the jacket on new sculpts. I'm not sure on the new head sculpt, I think I prefer the previous one, but I guess the new jacket is better fitting, it's less flared. According to the head of the figure line, Al Dewar, on the launch video on Character's YouTube, the tooling on these old parts had become soft, so they decided to resculpt and retool. Hence, we've got these new parts. Okay, next we have the 13th Doctor set, with a TV transmitted Weeping Angel, the 13th Doctor, and Yaz. Starting with the Weeping Angel, this is obviously a representation of the Weeping Angel that comes out of the TV screen in episode 4 of Flux, Village of the Angels. It's a straightforward re-release, but moulded in a translucent blue plastic. A bit like the Cyberman and the Cyber Leader in the 5 Doctors set that we got last year, there will be 2 variants available of this angel. One with a screaming head and sharp fingernails, and one with a calm head and flat hands to cover her face. Depending on the assortment at each store, you can get either version of this angel in the set. So there's effectively 2 versions of the same set available. And then we have the 13th Doctor as seen in episode 3 of Flux, Once Upon a Time, when she's falling through her own timeline. This outfit is also seen at the end of Flux when time itself takes the Doctor's form, wearing this coat, and most recently in The Power of the Doctor, when the Doctor meets her former incarnations who are Guardians of the Edge in her own mind. This is of course a re-release and a repaint of the standard 13th Doctor figure we've seen since 2018 onwards, just with the inverted coat colours. This is nonetheless a nice variant for the shelves. Last in this set is a new Yaz with her look from Eve of the Daleks. Whilst the body is the same as the previous Yaz releases, the head is new. You can't quite tell from these official photos, but if I bring up the leaked photos from the last video I made, you can see that the hair is different with a ponytail compared to previous releases. Onto a very exciting 3rd set here with David Bradley's First Doctor and an electronic TARDIS with lights and sounds. Very cool. We haven't had this version of the First Doctor before. The paint job on these figures is based on the 50th anniversary Docudrama, An Adventure in Space and Time. Since we're looking at the box, let's talk about the packaging for a second. It seems character have reduced its plastic usage with no plastic windows here. Instead we have open windows with some plastic and paper ties inside to strap the Doctor and TARDIS in. I think this looks pretty good. If you want to hear more on the packaging side of things, check out my previous video where I discuss the future of action figure packaging in more detail, and of course related to this specific line, the Doctor Who line. Right, on to the figures themselves. Wonderfully, we have David Bradley's First Doctor here. This takes the Unearthly Child First Doctor body, gives it a repaint, and adds a lovely new David Bradley head sculpt. Great stuff. As for the TARDIS, as mentioned when we saw the leaked photos, this takes the First Doctor TARDIS sculpt from last year with the updated roof, then gives it a new paint job with a bright eye-catching blue for the main body, with some white and black dry brushing to bring out that wooden effect detail on the sculpt. Plus the base is painted black and there's a nice new yellowish door sign sticker. Looks great! Of course, unlike last year's release, this set has lights and sounds, which is a first for a B&M set release. Very nice. Okay, it's Dalek time now. History of the Daleks Set 11 is of course Genesis themed. We get two variants here with updated paint apps. Now these official images don't actually capture the new paint scheme, which is actually a lot more accurate to Genesis than previous figure releases. If you go and watch Character's launch video for this new wave on YouTube with Al Dewar, the head of the figure line, presenting the new sets, you'll get a better look at these Daleks. I think the lighting and editing these official photos has somewhat distorted the colours. I think they're also misrepresentative, as Al Dewar mentions new headlamps, but they can't be seen in these images of the Daleks out of the box, but they can be seen in the images of the Daleks in box, and of course you can see them in the launch video. So going off the launch video, since it's easier to recognise the differences there between the two Daleks, you can see that the headlamps are different on each Dalek. One has the standard ones, and one has some newly sculpted ones that have a rim at the base. One of the Daleks has an oval on its midsection and one does not. The ball joints are also painted differently on both. Heading on to History of the Daleks Set 12, we have Destiny of the Daleks variants to enjoy. Now again, these official photos seem to have distorted the overall colour of these Daleks, so go and watch the character launch video for the second wave on YouTube to get a better sense of the figure colours in hand. Now you might just think that these are the new Genesis Dalek figures, just repainted, but you'd be wrong. Again, the official images of the Daleks out of the box don't capture the variants, as they're just the same Dalek figure twice that I can see. So I'm going to go with the launch video and the in-box photos, so you can see the differences. Unlike the Genesis ones, they both have new eye stalks with differently sized eye rings and a flat iris at the front. One has the midsection waistband painted black, the other does not. One has a silver top part of its fender and the other doesn't. One has a bronze gun and the other has a black gun with a grey ball joint. Like the Genesis Daleks, one Dalek has standard headlamps, whilst the other has the newly sculpted ones, but in this set the rim of it is painted black. Lastly, again like the Genesis Daleks, one has the midsection oval and one does not. Last but by no means least, we have the Creation of the Daleks set with Michael Wisher's Davros from Genesis of the Daleks and the original prototype Dalek from Genesis with an extra toyetic playable feature. Just quickly on Davros, because there's not too much to say about him. Obviously this is a much sought after re-release after 10 years I think the original set came out. It's very much a re-release but with some different paint apps to the original. He still features the removable panel at the side. It's a great figure, and if you missed out on this on the first time, this is a great reissue. As for the Dalek in the set, it's not the same as the Genesis Daleks in the History of Daleks Set 11, as it not only has a bronze coloured gun to make it a variant, it also features removable arms that each come with a little plug-in power pack accessory that can attach at the ball joint for both the sucker and gun arms, much like in the episode when they are testing the new Dalek weaponry outside the bunker in the Skaro Wastelands, the setting of which is wonderfully represented in the cardboard insert of this set. This works as a lovely background diorama piece for these figures. Well, that's 6 lovely sets for Wave 2. It's certainly a step up from Wave 1, which featured much more straightforward re-releases and repaints of existing figures. Whilst there's a good chunk of reuse in this new wave, it's used effectively with new paint applications, some newly sculpted parts, or in some cases, some clear plastic moulded parts to create new additions for our Doctor Who figure collections. I'm certainly convinced. I want to pick them all up if I can, hopefully, when they hit store shelves in November. That's what I'm told anyway. No specific dates at the moment, at the point of this recording at least, so you're just going to have to keep an eye out in your local B&M stores, or keep an eye out on the B&M website, because hopefully they'll be available to purchase on there. For more on that news story, go and check out my previous video. And that's it for this week, so don't forget to like and comment on the video, that really helps. Also don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and while you're here, why not click on that bell for notifications of new content. It is good stuff. And if you want to follow me on social media and see my thoughts about Doctor Who and see my custom figures and get more up-to-date stuff on that, go and follow me on Twitter and Instagram. My Twitter handle is @WhoTimeUK and Insta is www.whotimeuk. instagram.com/WhoTimeUK. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.